a bottleneck or a growth issue. That was a big thing. Just what we talked about before, just going out and doing stuff.
Yeah.
Doing it.
And it makes you grow. Always challenging, a little scary, sometimes very scary.
So yeah, dude.
Yeah. Kind of, you know, what you're jumping into. But
Yeah.
in the end, you put your head down, you work, and you get the right people around you, and things work themselves out, right?
Learn.
Yeah.
That's what it's all about, just learning.
Yeah.
And that was something we were going to talk about in a different episode, was actual cash flow from properties. We won't dive too much into it now, but what you just mentioned was, if you have 1 or 2 properties and that driveway happens or you have to replace a furnace, wipes out an entire year's cash flow. And if you have something else that happens to happen that same year, now you're starting to come out of pocket, versus what you just mentioned about being a passive investor and investing in a fund per se, where you have multiple assets to help offset some things that may happen at a certain property.
Yeah, absolutely. And then just the scale becomes bigger. You know, you go buy one property, it goes up. Let's say you buy it in Omaha, it might be $100K for a property or whatever. It goes up 10%, you made 10K.
Yeah.
You go buy in a fund, let's say we go buy a $10 million property and it goes up 10%. You just made $1 million.
Yeah.
So the impact is substantial as you continue to scale. So again, it, you know, really goes back to goals, expectations, what you really want, what's your vision in the end. Do you want to be in the trenches and learning and go through that whole process because you want real estate to be a core of, you know, what you want to do with your time? It comes down to opportunity cost.
Absolutely.
Am I going to spend my time fixing things and receiving calls from property managers that aren't doing their job and things like that? Which is great. You know, it's something that obviously we've jumped into and are excited about. And if anybody else is excited about that, that's awesome. But if that's not what you want to do, you want to be more invested in real estate, be connected, learn the process still. However, you're not the one getting these phone calls and, hey, there's a water leak or whatever the case may be, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
So to me, again, pros and cons, what's your path? What's your excitement? But
I think you brought up a good point, the scalability of it. That's one thing that really gave me momentum after a while. Was I was doing a bunch of fix and flips with a money partner. I mentioned it previously, but with a money partner, and then I started kind of doing them on my own with my own money. But then you're limited to your own cash, your own skills, resources, things like that.
Yep.
And once I started to realize, if I'm going to scale up, I need help. I need to bring in people. That's when I really realized having partners, the right contacts, the right network, bringing people in to help you that are better than you, that are better at certain things than what you are, and hiring the right people. That's really what gets you further if you want to scale up your business and make it more fruitful and whatnot. It's partnerships are huge.
Yeah, 100%. And it comes in all forms or fashions. Those partnerships could be as, you know, minute as somebody just, you know, threw in some cash and say, hey, I want to return, and that's, you know, all I want. There's other people that really want to be involved and interested and throughout that process, or, hey, I can add this piece to the overall puzzle.
So it's kind of a good segue. How did our partnership form? What did we start to do together?
Yeah, so jumped in through, got connected through that mutual friend, bought my first property through you. And then to me, it was really just finding somebody knowledgeable in the space, knew what they were doing. I had some cash that I had made through my day job.
Yeah.
And was looking to invest in real estate, wanted to get more active, more knowledgeable, wanted to jump into something scalable, that went into apartments. And, really I had baseline knowledge of hey, there's a single family house, a property manager, a turnkey, but I wasn't, in the trenches yet. I wasn't, kind of digging in deep. And so finding that next piece, I had cash, but I didn't have a ton of the real estate knowledge that fortunately I was able to, find in you, and you were able to help mentor me throughout the process of real estate and negotiating some incredible deals that we've done throughout, our career together.
Yeah.
That really just comes through knowledge and understanding. And if I had taken that cash myself and gone invested, I would not be where I am today with you. We've been able to grow as a partnership, as a team, much more aggressively because, we jumped in together. It was not just kind of an active investment by myself, or even really just a passive investment with you. It was, hey, let's jump in together and partner and go forward.
Yeah. I would say a big part of how we've complement each other, or not each other, what you've brought to the table for me was, one, you had money, access to money, and one thing for me, I always get amped with people in your position that have full-time jobs that want to get into real estate, and it's provided me, my wife, family, a lot of stuff, a lot of freedom.
Yeah.
Freedom of time.
Yeah.
Money's always great, but to me, it's more about freedom, about time.
Yeah.
But one thing you
trade time for money, right? Yeah.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And life's short, dude. And people don't realize that at all.
Yeah.
And then one thing you brought too was you pushed me outside of my comfort zone for sure. And you did it, you didn't even know you were doing it at the time, but it was when we purchased a 14 unit, a 12 unit, another 12 unit, and then there was this 24 unit, and this is all within 18 months, 12 months.
1 year. This was less than 1 year. We did from May to December.
Yeah.
Yeah, almost 7 months.
Yeah, and you saw this other 24 unit. I was like, dude, no, because I was, part of what I bring is also management, systems, processes, things like that.
Yeah.
So we acquired the other apartments, and we were managing those. They were heavy lifts. We had to start doing a lot of unexpected rehab to those guys for sure.
Yeah.
Another story for another time.
Yeah, 100%, man.
And then this 24 unit one came on, and you saw, and you're like, hey, let's do it. And I was like, dude, bro, no, we just got all this stuff. Like, a lot of people may think the process, there's a lot that goes into deals, finding deals, closing deals, and people think, hey, deals closed, we're good. That's when really nice. That's when stuff starts. Yeah, that's when it really starts.
Yeah.
So at that time, we were deep into these other deals, and you're like, let's do it. And I was like, nah, we're good. But you just kept pushing, and it forced me, in particular, to grow and think bigger. It's like, okay, now we're managing. I was self-managing quite a few single families, and self-managing was fairly recent. I started self-managing within. By the time we started buying those apartments, probably only like a year.
Okay.
And prior to that, always had third-party management. So self-managing was a big deal to bring on a good chunk of properties that I had at that time. And by us buying that additional apartment complex, it really made me get outside my comfort zone and be like, okay, now here's what we need to do is scale up to the next level. Because that really, even though it's not that big, as 24 units, so we bought a 12, and a 14. So that 24 units was a good sized property compared to the other multifamily we have. So it really forced me to grow and figure shit out. I'm like, okay, how do we take on this 24 units, but also how do we, if we wanted to, take on a 48 unit or 100 unit, 200 unit, whatever that looks like.
Yeah.
So for us to get that next step, I not only need to scale up to be able to bring in an additional 24, but really, now that I'm going through this process, I really need to figure it out to where we can bring on 48 units, 100 units, and not have it be such a bottleneck or growth issue and whatnot. So
yeah,
that was a big thing. Just what we talked about before, just going out and doing stuff.
Yeah.
Doing it.
And it makes you grow. It's, always challenging, a little scary.
Yeah.
Sometimes very scary.
So yeah, dude.
Yeah. Depending, what you're jumping into, but
yeah.
In the end, you put your head down, you work, and you get the right people around you, and things work themselves out, right?
Learn.
Yeah.
That's what it's all about, just learning.
Yeah.